Hey, MegaJeff back again. Time for another one of the first ones, the one you never forget. A series, a theme borrowed from Zep Pearl, from bands over at Zep Pearl State Channel. Basically, it's a collection video of a particular band, and we discuss where we entered into the band's catalog as far as where we discovered them, and we tend to look at that as the place that tends to still be one of our favorite ones that we never forget. And so we're going to jump into this one. This one's going to be a long one. I got a lot of records here. We're talking Riot, the band Riot, New York band. I mean, they, for people who know them, people love them. They are probably a favorite amongst a lot of people, but they never really got the huge reception, by the world itself. But I loved them, and most everybody, like I say, that tends to know them, love them. So let's get right into them. They're a New York band. They started in the 70s. Their first album was in 1977, Rock City. This is one of the Metal Blade reissues. Fortunately, Metal Blade has been reissuing their stuff. When I find copies of this on vinyl, original copies, they tend to be pretty beat up because people really, I guess, love them. And so this one is one of the Metal Blade reissues, 1977. Great album. You could kind of tell they were just kind of coming on their own then. It was a good album, but they later achieved even further greatness. In 79, Narita. This is an OG copy that I found. Anyway, again, good hard rock and stuff at this point. I think they still were kind of finding their way. They have a cover of Born to Be Wild on here, which I remember back in the day hearing that, and I knew this version better than the original because I was not much of a fan of the original. Now, in the past few years, they have been reissuing or releasing these Riot archive albums. So this is in chronological order here, even though the album is fairly new. And what these are demos, early unreleased tracks, recordings. They have DVDs. These are high roller records. I just love this stuff because there's a lot of unknown songs. There's also a lot of just extended version, things like that. It's just kind of neat to look back. These tend to all be like double records. They have DVDs included. It's just a great package. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on these. So yeah, these are just, again, archives of stuff that has been unheard. Anyway, so then at that point, those two records, the Rock City and Narita, they kind of got signed to a little bigger label here, and so this is where I discovered them, Fire Down Under. And yeah, it is probably still one of my favorite albums by them because it's nostalgic. You gravitate back towards that. This is one of the reissues, not an OG copy. So again, one of those colored. Absolutely one of my favorite albums. It's just great stuff. And it was this album and the next album that back in the day we used to play to death. Got the nice little seal character on there, which is a staple throughout most of their records. So yeah, this is the last album with the original singer Guy Speranza. He did the first three albums, and then he was out of the band. He later, in like 2003, passed away from pancreatic cancer. So there was some talk around that time that the band, or Mark Reale from the band, was working with Guy. There's some online, there's some recordings, practice tape type things with Guy back in the mix, kind of doing some stuff in later years, but I don't think it never really came to fruition. And then he passed away in 2003. But absolutely, in my opinion, one of the high watermarks for the band is that. Then they moved on to Restless Breed with Rhett Forrester on vocals. And honestly, this album and the last one are the two that played the death. And this is another one of the reissues on color vinyl there. But these two albums, Restless Breed and Fire Down Under, are two absolute favorites. Now, a while back, 20 some odd years ago, that High Voltage label released a copy of Fire Down Under, a CD that had like 5 or 6 bonus tracks, quality studio tracks that we'd never heard before. I'd love to. I don't know if those were the ones that made it on any of the vinyl archive albums. I'd have to go back and look, but maybe they did. But absolutely great stuff. So these two albums are my favorite Riot Live, I used to love this album too. This is a Rhett Forrester live album. There is another Riot Live album, which is earlier material from Guy Speranza years. This is the Rhett Forrester version. They both look the same, but one has more tracks. This one has the 6 tracks on it. So absolutely phenomenal, great album. I just remember back in the day being so addicted to rushing home and hearing, you know, Swords and Tequila, things like that. Born in America, final album with Rhett Forrester on vocals. This also is one of the reissues. This is on black. Whenever I don't see original pressings much in the wild, and when I do, they tend to be pretty rough. So I have picked up the reissues. So anyway, last album with Rhett Forrester, and then he left the band, and so this was 1983. 1984, he put out his own. He put Gone with the Wind, one of his solo albums. He did 1988. He did Assume the Position. That's one of the songs. Anyway, he did some solo albums. He did some other recording. He worked with Jack Starr, did a phenomenal album with Jack Starr, Out of the Darkness, one of my favorite albums. In 1994, he was involved in a carjacking situation where he refused to give up his car and he was shot and killed. So we lost it. I remember reading about that in the news at the time and just blown away, because Rhett Forrester became one of my favorite singers. I loved everything he did. He's got this raspy voice. Loved it. So I was really sad to hear that in 94. Now, the band from 83, after that album, for like 88, there was some, silence. I believe the guitar player went out to Texas, Mark Reale, and formed another band and did some stuff out there. Did he form the band Narita or something? And then ultimately he came back and reformed Riot, and they did Thundersteel. Totally different vibe, power metal, soaring vocals, totally different lineup, fast, high powered, way different than everything previously. Blow me away type album, just top notch, high speed, melodic power metal. Bobby Jazombek on drums, phenomenal drummer. Great stuff. This is an OG copy I found not too many months ago, about a year or so maybe ago, that I was so pleased to find in great condition for a decent price at an antique store. But anyway, so totally different sound. Now, this is out of order. Here is the other archives, Archives 2. This is from 82 and 83. Again, it's got live stuff, a DVD with it, 2 records, High Roller Records, and it's got all kinds of stuff from Rhett Forrester, audition tape, Born in America, some live stuff, I believe, instrumental stuff, things like that. So this is like the Rhett Forrester years, and that belongs right there. Then we move into Thundersteel. So Thundersteel was 1988. So around that time, we also have another archives. This is from 87 to 88. So this actually should have been before that. This is, again, it's got DVDs live in Texas. That's why I thought he moved to Texas. And this has stuff on it like Thundersteel, some of those things along that line. And it is the same lineup. Mark Edwards plays on drums on a couple of these. I have to go back and reread exactly what all this was, but it's got a photo of the band back in the day looking all spiffy. So that one needs to go right in front of, because that was leading up to, I believe, the Thundersteel album. And then post Thundersteel album after 88, we have another archives from 88 to 89. Again, it's got a live DVD in there. And this one has all kinds of other stuff. Rough mixes, rough mix, alternate versions, 4-track demo, some demo tracks, and a vocal recording session. And again, this would have been, I believe, the Thundersteel era, also right after Thundersteel. And we got a lot of these here. I guess there were 5 of them. So this is 92, 95, archives number 5. So 92 is going to be after the album that I'm missing. So I have Thundersteel. Privilege of Power is 1990. I don't have that. It's a tough one to find. It's expensive when you do find it. I believe, if I recall, it's been a while since I've listened to that it's similar to Thundersteel, same type of lineup. So that's 1990. Then in 92 to 2005, we have a bunch of this stuff. This is the last of the archives. It's got Live in Japan, a DVD there from that. Rough mixes, more rough mixes, demos from the 90s, alternative versions. Then it moves into some 2005 demos and stuff. So that's jumping way ahead. Some stuff in here. Joe Lynn Turner live. Anyway, this is kind of like everything that was left. It seems like they threw onto there. So that's going to go right there. Then 93, they had Nightbreaker, which I don't have on vinyl. I believe it was reissued. I don't have that. 95, they had Brotherhood of the Longhouse, which I do not have. I believe that's also been reissued. I do have 97's Einish Moore. And again, new singer, new style, nothing like the Thundersteel era, so they're back to being, you know, kind of a hard rocking outfit. I was able to actually pick up these next couple from a guy online in the past couple months. I don't think I've shown them before because I got them not too long ago. And he was selling these for like, they're double record sets, and he had these for like $15. And so I picked them up real quick. Brand new. I think that this one's got a crease on it, so that's probably why it's got a dent on it. So I think that's what he was selling. Number 4 of 100. Only 100 of them made in this color. There were multiple color arrangements for these that came out. This is kind of a weird orangish. So yeah, like I say, different band, great stuff though. You know, great lineup, great sound. There was quite a few albums in here, and this would have been all, like I say, the I think Nightbreaker would have been. I think they changed singers at that point. Nightbreaker brought the Brotherhood of the Longhouse, and then we move into Einish Moore. I don't have Sons of Society, which was a 99 album. It has been reissued. I have been seeing it, just haven't seen the price drop. And then in 2002, Through the Storm. Again, I got this from the same guy. Yeah, it's got a creased corner there. For I think this one might have been $20. It's a double record set. I got all 3 of these from a guy that had some, and this is kind of a cool there. He had all of these, and they were all very, very well priced for double record reissue sets. This is again number 6 of 100 on the white red marble. So again, along the same lines, I believe the same singer in all these albums. And then Army of One, 2006, number 86 of 100. Same thing, same guy. This was another one, the $15 ones. It's got a creased corner there. Not a big deal. I was able to grab these. Again, these are the reissues. I don't think these may not have ever been. It includes 2 bonus tracks, cream white. So there, those are the 3 that I got all within the past like 2 months or so. Then the band again changes directions. They go back to the Thundersteel era. They bring back, I believe, the same vocalist and everything. And in 2011, Immortal Soul. Power metal, straight up Thundersteel Part 2, if you want to call it that. It's just absolutely high speed, great stuff. Mark Reale coming back with, again, we got Bobby Jarzazbek, and Tony Moore on vocals again. So yeah, and there's a bunch of Riot documentaries on YouTube you can see for free. They explain all of this from the beginning to the end, and that's where I learned a lot about this whole period. How he got back together with the guys from the Thundersteel era. They put out this album in 2011, and then sadly in 2012, Mark Reale, the founding and original and one staple through the entire Riot series, he passed away from complications in Crohn's disease. So Riot, Immortal Soul, this particular Thundersteel band, high speed US power metal, went on. The band went on, replaced him on guitar, and in his honor and memory went on to do Riot 5, and they've done albums under Riot 5. Is this the right order? I believe. Yeah, I think so. So Unleash the Fire. So they continued on, and so, you know, it's still related to Riot, but it is a different band. And even some of the guys, I think, was it Tony Moore left, so the vocals went on, and they got Todd Michael Hall, who's done some solo stuff too. So, but the band has continued on as Riot 5. Again, Thundersteel era type music, power metal, high speed, high range vocals, Armor of Light. These are just phenomenal albums. I love this stuff as they continue on in the name of Riot. Live in Japan 2018, triple live album. There is one other live album that I have not defined on vinyl yet, and then Mean Streets is the newest, most recent album. It just came out a couple years ago. So yeah, Riot 5 has continued on. One of the guitar players from all the way up to when Rhett Forster left and Born in America, Ventura, he left the band. He came back with the band called Riot Act, a kind of a play on Riot. They did one album as far as I know. I have the digital tracks of that I purchased in the day, but I have not, never been a vinyl release, and I do not have the CD. But that sounds cool too. You know, it's just somebody else branching off from the Riot family. But that's it. That's my Riot collection. And yes, Fire Down Under and Restless Breed, to me, still high water marks. Two of my favorite albums. I could give them both a play, and still, to me, they're just like one album, even though they're two totally different singers. Anyway, so that's it. That's my Riot collection. That's my Riot story, and I still love their stuff. Check them out if you haven't. I'm hoping you have by this point, but great stuff, and I'll see you later. Rock on and rock hard.